If money's what I'll trade my life for, it better buy me a life worth living.
Hey again, my name's Zach and I make indie pop music under the name Fonsky. Today's single is called Money. Money is definitely an outlier on this record. It's the most folky song by far. I spent a lot of time crafting the lyrics to be exactly what I wanted. It's really just such a unique song, and so let's talk about it. Form-wise, is a very simple song. We've got A, B, C, A, and the A kind of becomes an outro with a little guitar solo. When I first started working on this song, it was not intended for it to get as kind of folky bluegrassy as it ended up getting. It was really just kind of a nice finger-picking guitar pattern with a nice vocal. As soon as I brought it to the trio of Andrew and Patrick, they are both from Kentucky, so they kind of have that history of bluegrass, Appalachian kind of folk as like a backdrop to their experience with music in general. Being from Chicago, it's obviously not what I grew up around, but as soon as I brought this to them and Patrick picked up his stand-up bass and Andrew switched out his sticks for brushes, it was pretty clear that that was how this song was going to be. And I'm happy that it turned out that way, though, like I said, it wasn't intentional. It's very original in the context of the full record. Much like Eyes Like Flies is an outlier, this is an outlier in that it's not your typical indie pop song that has been elsewhere on this record. So now let's get into the lyrics. Lyrically, everything has its place and was intentional, but there is a good amount of ambiguity with regard to meaning. If money's what I'll trade my life for, it better buy me a life worth living. 'Cause what does all this wealth even mean to a man who wants for nothing? Everything around me today I wanted for at a time. But now that I can see the pattern, will it ever change my mind? That stanza in particular is talking about the pattern of I want this, I buy this, I get bored of this, it sits somewhere. That is what happens. At least that's my experience with new things. It's just a recognition of that pattern. I can't seem to find the answers anywhere. But if you don't understand the problem, is there hope for a solution? Because some may have so many dimensions, about as many resolutions. That's kind of talking about problems in general that we experience. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more empathetic, and problems as they come up in my life, oftentimes I can see all the different dimensions of how that problem is a problem, how other people might perceive that problem or maybe think it's not a problem. I really wanted to hit on one kind of big idea, which is it's this idea of moving in a direction and being guided by something. I don't know what that is. We're definitely in the realm of the religious, I would say at this point, though I don't want to bring that into this per se. But a lot of this is a comment on how stuff doesn't get you to whatever you're trying to get to. I do have a couple demos on this, so I'm going to play those, and then we're going to get into the Ableton demo. So let's go.
If money's what I'll trade my life for, will it buy me a life worth living? What is wealth or poverty to a man who wants for nothing? Is everything around me today I wanted for at a time? Now that I can see the pattern, will it ever change my mind? 'Cause I can't seem to find the answers anywhere. I can't seem to find the answers anywhere. I can't find the answer, though it's on the tip of my tongue. Sure I'll know it when I see it, though I can't find the right words to say, though it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. I can't remember my name, though it's on the tip of my tongue. money's what I'm trading my life for. Put it on your life we're living. What is wealth or power? Well, many wants for nothing. 'Cause everything around me today, I want it for a time. But now that I can see the pattern, will I ever change my mind? I can't seem to find the answers anywhere. I can't seem to find the answers anywhere. If you don't understand the problem, tell me for a solution.
If you hear any bone chewing during this part of the video, it's because that is what is happening underneath me as I record. You look sleepy. Don't give me that. I know. Yeah, good boy, good boy. Alright, so I got the Ableton session pulled up. Let's get into it. I think to start this off, we'll just pick apart the layers of just the verse and then get into some of my favorite parts. So let's take a look at the first verse and just see what's there.
If money's what I'll trade my life for, it better buy me a life worth living. 'Cause what does all this wealth even mean to a man who wants for nothing? Everything around.
So as you can tell, it's pretty simple, right? We've got the kit, we've got the classicals, we've got the stand-up bass. Looks like we have some steel string acoustic guitar. And then we have the vocals, obviously some backup. So pretty standard when it comes to this sort of music. So let's piece that together. So this is what the kit sounds like with just the brushes. And you put the stand up on top of that. Then we got the classical guitars. And then we have this other guitar that's just panned slightly left. It's doing the same pattern as the classical guitars. It's just providing a little bit more of that kind of tinny sound from a steel string acoustic guitar. And then we got the vocals. This is what that sounds like on its own.
If money's what I'll trade my life for, it better buy me a life worth living. 'Cause what does all this wealth even mean to a man who wants for nothing? Everything around me today, I want it for at a time. But now that I can see the pattern, will it ever change my mind?
So it's pretty simple. Let's get into something a little bit more interesting. So the second B section introduces some more interesting content. Let's look at that.
I can't seem to find the right words anywhere. I can't seem to find the right words anywhere.
So from the ground up, again, we have the kit and the bass. Coupled with all the guitars, I ended up introducing also a steel string guitar that's doing something a little different, just to kind of give it a little bit of a different feel in the second verse. This is with all of the guitars, the bass, and the drums. Then we have some kind of cool synths here, so let's get into those. And this is where the vocals start to get a little bit more interesting. Let's listen to just what the harmonies sound like at this point in time.
I can't seem to find the right words anywhere. I can't seem to find the right words anywhere.
So essentially I'm doubling what the main melody is doing, but I'm adding an additional lower, very bassy harmony. I'm also doing a lot of post-production type work here. I'm running it through this Brower Motion plugin to kind of give it a little bit of a spinning, panning kind of feel. I've got this reverb on it, Big Bright Hall preset. I've also got quite a few EQs, this delay, doing some mid-side processing as well. All of those vocals with the main vocal sound like this.
I can't seem to find the right words anywhere. I can't seem to find the right words anywhere.
So then everything all together ends up sounding like this.
I can't seem to find the right words anywhere. I can't seem to find the right words anywhere.
And then we get to the bridge. Now the bridge kind of changes things up a little bit. Patrick ends up using his electric bass on this, his 5-string, and Andrew switches his brushes out for sticks. It has a much bigger feel, and we actually tracked these two drums completely separately because the dynamics of a brush drum kit are quite a bit different from a kit played with the sticks. So those are just mixed completely differently. It's actually called the Loud Kit on this, and this is what that sounds like. We also have Patrick's bass on that. Patrick is a multi-instrumentalist. He's very good at playing lots of different instruments, even singing. So I actually asked him just to try something out, just intuitively, on this weird little organ that Dave had there. And what he ended up making was really cool, so we actually kept that. So this is what that sounds like with the bass and drums. So yeah, that was just in the moment, just off the cuff, really. It was a pretty cool thing to be a part of. Obviously, you slap the acoustic guitars on there. We're not doing classical at this point in the song. Since we're building this up, it just is too mellow a feel, so we've switch to doing chords on a typical steel string guitar. And so all of the instruments together at that point in time, without the vocals, sound like this. And then in typical Fontsky fashion, we have a lot of vocals. And I just want to play those a cappella.
I can't find the answers, though they're at the tip of my tongue. I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. I can't find the right words to say, though they're at the tip of my tongue. I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. I can't remember my name, though it's at the tip of my tongue. I'm sure I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah, so a very big kind of choral moment. And then we have this final guitar solo. A lot of this was intuitive. I definitely spliced it up quite a bit to get it to exactly what I wanted. This is what that sounds like just by itself. As you can tell, there's a lot of processing. I have some echo, I have some reverb. I've got quite a bit of compression. Looks like I've got a chorus. This Tau chorus is a free plugin that I got a long time ago that I actually use a surprising amount. Cab emulator, a lot of like stock Ableton stuff. I think they sound really, really nice. And then on top of that, I've got this Brower just to kind of give it a little bit of motion, which is what the plugin's called. And so, yeah, collectively, just to play us out, I guess I'll just play that ending part. Yeah, so those are some of my favorite parts. In conclusion, Money is an interesting piece. It's definitely more kind of in the bluegrassy boygenius kind of field. While there's a little bit of ambiguity with regard to the lyrics, I think they do a fairly good job at just kind of poking and playing with the topic of long-term happiness and satisfaction. You know, you're not going to find it in the consumerism cycle. You're going to find it with long-term goals and friends and family who you spend your time with. So the record's called Help Selfing, right? So I like to think that we know when we are doing something that we're not supposed to be doing. So there is a level of intuition on this. It's hard to explain, but I think it's there. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So stop doing that. Whatever it is, stop doing that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you follow me on any social media platform you use. If you want to buy the record, it's up on my Bandcamp. The full record's coming out next week, August 2nd. So thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful weekend.